Why do you freeze just when things start going well? You work hard, give your best, but when you're about to achieve what you've been striving for, something inside you pulls back. Maybe you make excuses, maybe you start a conflict, maybe you simply give up. It may look like fear of failure, but often it's the fear of success. And this isn't weakness. It's an unconscious pattern that might be guiding your choices. This video is not about shallow motivation. It's about understanding why you sabotage yourself and how you can begin to break free. Stay with me until the end. Today, you might see your fear with new eyes. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And maybe that's why, even when everything seems to be going well, you feel an invisible force pulling you back. As if something deep inside whispers, "You can't, you don't deserve it, it's going to fail." You've felt this before. You were close to something important, a dream, a breakthrough, but something in you self-sabotaged. You created a problem, got distracted, walked away, and then came the guilt, the regret, the emptiness, that same feeling again, "I did it again." But the truth is, this isn't weakness, it's a defense mechanism. An unconscious pattern rooted in a past moment of your life that learned to associate success with pain, abandonment, or the fear of no longer being loved. Maybe it started with a compliment that turned into pressure, a success that led someone to pull away, or the belief that if you shine too bright, you'll become a burden. So quietly, you learned to hold back, to shrink, to stop just before you arrive, because somehow it felt safer to fail than to lose someone's love. This kind of pattern doesn't just show up in work. It seeps into relationships, friendships, decisions. You might even feel yourself growing, but something inside hits the brakes. It's not failure you fear. It's being seen, being exposed, being rejected for being good. Jung helps us understand this sabotage isn't irrational. It makes sense in your emotional system. It's your soul trying to protect an old wound, even if it means halting your progress. And when you understand this clearly, guilt gives way to compassion. In analytical psychology, Jung introduces us to a fundamental concept, the unconscious complex. A complex is like an emotional core built from past experiences that were never fully processed or integrated. It acts on its own, with its own force, thoughts, and impulses, and often it's what drives a decision you can't explain, a behavior you keep repeating, a "I just can't" that seems to come from nowhere. When it comes to self-sabotage, this complex is often linked to an emotional experience where success, or standing out, became associated with rejection, loneliness, or pain. Imagine a child who, when praised, was told they were getting full of themselves, or who, after achieving something, noticed that their parent became emotionally distant. The unconscious recorded it all as a silent equation. When I'm seen, something bad happens. So now, in adulthood, every time that child, in grown-up form, starts to advance, create, or rise, the complex gets activated, like an invisible alarm. And it whispers, "Better stop, you'll get hurt. It's not safe." Jung said the unconscious doesn't want to punish you, it wants to protect you, but it protects with the only tools it has. And if the only way to keep you safe is to stop you from growing, it will. It creates doubts, confusion, hesitation. It turns victories into threats. That's how the mind defends itself. That's why self-sabotage is not destruction. It's a distorted form of self-protection. You're not trying to ruin yourself. You're trying to survive, using the same tools you learned when you were too young to make sense of your emotions. It's like trying to drive with the parking brake on. You know where you want to go, your foot's on the gas, but something locks up. And no matter how much you try to think your way through it, what's in control isn't logic. It's emotion. It's symbolic. It's deep. Where does the fear of success begin? Most people don't just wake up one day and decide to sabotage themselves. This impulse doesn't come from conscious choice. It comes from emotional memory. As a child, you learned what felt safe and what felt dangerous. But that learning wasn't always clear or rational. Sometimes it was shaped by a glance, a silence, a careless comment spoken at the wrong time. Maybe you were the kind of child who, when expressing joy or talent, was ignored, or when trying to show independence, was punished or shut down. Maybe you received love, as long as you didn't cause trouble, as long as you didn't grow too much. And so you grew up believing that being fully yourself might mean being left behind. In many cases, this pattern comes from a deep emotional need not to lose connection with the people you love. Jung reminds us the instinct to belong is as powerful as the instinct to survive. And the child within you believed that in order to stay loved, they had to adapt, shrink, dim the light just a little. And that message got stored in your body, your heart, and your unconscious. That's why even now, whenever you start to bloom, something in you pulls back. It's not laziness, it's not lack of discipline, it's not weakness. It's invisible loyalty, a silent allegiance to your past, an unconscious pact with the child who once had to stay quiet to be loved. And as long as this pattern goes unseen, it will repeat itself. And the more you try to force your way through it, the more power it gains. Because it doesn't want to be conquered, it wants to be understood. Your fear isn't trying to destroy you, it's trying to protect you. But it's using strategies that are far too old for the life you live now. And that's where change begins, the moment you look at that fear honestly and with compassion. Why does it keep happening? You try to change. You make promises, set goals, look for new paths, but suddenly there you are again, frozen at the doorstep of your own opportunity. It's like walking in circles, ending up in the same place, and it hurts. But there's something important you need to know. The pain that repeats itself isn't trying to punish you, it's trying to teach you something. Jung said that when we ignore what needs to be seen, the unconscious finds a way to remind us. And it uses the one language we always pay attention to, pain. Repetition is the unconscious calling for your attention, not so that you'll suffer, but so that you'll awaken. That's why you feel the same anxiety in different situations. That's why, even after changing jobs, cities, or partners, the feeling is familiar. I'm sabotaging myself again. The pain is pushing you inward. It wants you to return to the place where it all began, to face the wound that was buried, to embrace the part of you that had to go silent. Because real change doesn't come from pressure. It comes from understanding. It happens when you stop fighting yourself and start listening to what your pain is trying to say. You are not your pattern. You are the awareness that can interrupt it. And it all begins with one simple yet profound question. What exactly am I trying to protect myself from? How do you free yourself from self-sabotage without breaking yourself apart? You no longer need to live at war with yourself. For a long time, maybe you believed that overcoming this pattern required force, fighting fear, ignoring pain, making it work at any cost. But what if that battle is the very thing keeping you stuck? Healing doesn't demand brute strength. It asks for presence, for listening, for honoring the pace of your wounded parts. It's not about forcing change. It's about stopping the betrayal. The next time you feel yourself pulling back, sabotaging, delaying, running away, pause. Breathe. Don't criticize yourself. Don't say, "Here I go again," with shame. Instead, say, "I see you, and now that I see you, I can care for you." Self-sabotage is not a flaw in your character. It's an outdated emotional protection that still tries to be useful. Most of the patterns that block you today didn't start in adulthood. They began when you were too young to understand, but sensitive enough to feel. Take a moment. Sit in silence. Ask yourself with an open heart, when was the first time I learned that growing was dangerous? Maybe you remember a compliment that turned into criticism, a success that was ignored, a moment when you felt too much for someone, and so you shrank. The child you once were didn't need grand trauma to learn silence. Sometimes the quiet absence of support was enough. And that child, to this day, pulls the brake every time you try to move forward. They don't need to be corrected. They need to be seen, held, validated. Say to them, "You're safe to grow now. I'm here with you." Self-sabotage rarely shows up loudly. It starts as a feeling, a doubt, a hesitation, a need to postpone. That's where the pattern reveals itself. Start noticing. What was happening the last time you gave up? What did you feel in your body? What thoughts came up? The more you observe without judgment, the more power you have over what once ruled you. You don't need to take big leaps. You need small, steady steps with awareness. The goal is not to beat the fear. It's to walk with it. To say, "I know you're here, but today I'll keep going anyway." Celebrate the days you act even with doubts. Celebrate the moments you finish what you start, even with discomfort. These are like new scars, subtle but strong. Somewhere in your past, you may have made an unconscious pact. If I fail, I'll still be loved. If I don't shine, no one will leave me. If I don't grow, I'll stay safe. Those pacts were born out of fear, but you've grown. You no longer need to stay small to keep love near. Today, you can make a new promise. I honor my story, but I am no longer a prisoner of it. I can grow, succeed, and still be loved. I don't need to abandon myself to avoid losing anyone. You don't have to erase what you've lived. You don't have to pretend you're not afraid. Healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about integrating it, looking inward and saying, "Everything I've been, everything I've felt, everything that hurt is part of me, but it no longer defines me." That is true freedom, not the absence of fear, but the ability to walk forward with fear and still grow. Close your eyes for a moment, feel your breath, and imagine yourself taking one small step, not a leap, just a step. See yourself moving toward what you desire, not in a rush, but with presence. Say to yourself, "I am ready to stop abandoning myself. I can go slowly, but I will keep going." Because healing begins the moment you decide to be on your own side. You are not broken. You were shaped by silences no one knew how to listen to, by fears you learned to hide, by love that taught you growing was too risky. But now, something has changed. You're no longer the one who pulls the brake without knowing why. You've started to see. And seeing changes everything. The light of awareness may be small at first, but it's enough to interrupt the cycle. Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." And that's exactly what you just did. So before you go, I ask you, don't rush to fix what you just felt. Just feel it. Let this new understanding settle inside you. It will take root. Maybe you'll cry. Maybe you'll breathe deeper. Maybe you'll sit in silence for a while. All of that is proof that something real touched your heart. And if this message reached a hidden part of you, it means you're ready to begin, not by force, but with presence, with choice, with truth. You no longer need to shrink to deserve love. You don't have to sabotage yourself to be accepted. You can, yes you can, move forward without abandoning yourself. This isn't just a beautiful phrase. It's a promise you can make to yourself now. I choose to be faithful to who I want to become, not to what I learned out of fear. And when fear shows up, because it will, you'll remember this moment, you'll breathe, and keep going, not without pain, but with courage, with awareness, with soul. Because yes, growing is painful, but not growing hurts even more. And if one day you forget all of this, come back here. This space is yours. This conversation is yours. This journey begins again, and continues inside of you. If this message touched your heart, if you felt seen or understood in some way, we invite you to leave a comment below. Write a simple phrase. I choose not to abandon myself. This may be your way of sealing a promise to yourself and inspiring others who, like you, are awakening now. If you'd like to continue this journey of self-discovery and healing with us, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Each week, we create space for reflections that help transform pain into awareness, and awareness into freedom. Thank you for walking this path with us. And remember, you can move forward with fear, with doubt, but always with truth. We'll see you in the next video.